friends. I'm Ellie from Nourishment Redacted, and welcome to Lioness Lifestyle Live. This is a show where we honor a keto, carnivore, and meat-based woman. They share their experience and their healing journey to inspire and bring our community together.
And I am Cristie from Meeting Wellness, and it's as always wonderful to meet with you this evening. We've all been inspired by somebody's story, and we believe that sharing these stories is one of the very best ways to help people who are sick and without hope.
And I'm Adrian. I'm BiggestLoserCarnivore. Thanks for joining us tonight. We would like this place to be a place where we can lift each other up and show that healing through diet is possible. Talk about exciting. Oh, just kidding. Please get your questions ready for our guest. Please put a QQQ or a question in front of yours for our guest tonight.
All right, that means it's time for this week's Roar of the Week. And this one says, great info and nice to hear how much in common many of us have. I went keto and was addicted to the keto snacks that are seriously trash food. Once I gave that up, and boy, it was hard. Everything just fell into place. Now strict carnivore. Thank you so much. If you would like to be next week's Roar of the Week, please drop us a comment after the live stream is over, and we will hunt through them and pick someone to shout out next week.
Yes, thank you so much. Whenever you leave us a comment, it makes our day. So please leave a comment afterwards. So I'd love to let's give a big welcome to Caitlyn from Carnivore Couple, and let's hear her story.
Hi guys, thank you guys for having me on your guys' channel and roaring with y'all. We're gonna have some fun together. But just kind of tell you guys about my story. So I started carnivore, I think it was almost man, it's been a journey. It's a long journey with lots of twists and turns. As I tell you guys this story, my journey isn't a simple one. There's been lots of bumps and hiccups along the road, but I feel like that's how lots of people's stories are. But yeah, I started carnivore about a year and a half ago. I think it was in 2023. Patrick and we had tried keto before and everything had just failed. We tried keto. I was on an autoimmune protocol. I have an autoinflammatory condition called hidradenitis suppurativa. I don't know if any of y'all are familiar with that, but it's basically where you get these kind of like boil welts in your groin, in your armpits, just kind of all over your body. And that condition wasn't the main reason I started my health journey. My main reason was that I was pushing almost 300 pounds when I first started carnivore back in 2023. My first weigh-in was 288 pounds. So it's been a long journey from there. So Patrick and I started together. We started the Carnivore Couple YouTube channel just to help keep ourselves accountable. And it was just something fun for us to do together. And within my first 5 months, I lost about 40 pounds. So it was going really great. You know, I started in January and then it came to be summertime and I kind of fell off track for a little bit there. Something that's tricky for me about staying on a weight loss journey for a long period of time, and you know, I've got over 140 pounds that I need to lose. And I've lost almost 70 pounds now. But something that's tricky about a weight loss journey that lasts that long is I just get into my mental headspace of, oh, I've done so good, so now I can go have a cheat meal, or I don't have to be so strict. And so that summer after I lost about 40 pounds, I got off track, and then I finally got on track again. I lost 20 more pounds. I lost 60 pounds total. And then I got pregnant. And we actually got pregnant with twins. I don't think, lots of people ask me, do you think the carnivore diet had anything to do with you getting pregnant with twins? I actually don't think that's the reason I got pregnant with twins. Twins do run in my family. My great grandmother has like 3 sets of twins. So, but it was really interesting to see how losing, you know, I wasn't to my goal weight yet, but I had lost 60 pounds before I got pregnant. And it was really interesting to see how losing that weight before I got pregnant really helped me have a healthier pregnancy. With my first pregnancy, I ended up developing severe preeclampsia. This was before I was carnivore, and our son ended up being born at 31 weeks, and he only weighed 2 pounds 14 ounces when he was born. So that was a huge motivating factor for me for wanting to get healthy. So I had lost those 60 pounds before I got pregnant with my twins. But since I did lose that weight, I was able to have a much healthier pregnancy. We did have one little slight complication with our girl. We had boy-girl twins, and she was just growing small for her gestational age, but there was no health reason as to why she was growing small. And throughout my entire pregnancy, I was not actually eating carnivore. For me personally, I just wanted to eat more of a low-carb keto diet. That first trimester was very rough with the meat aversions, and so I was just trying to eat as healthy as I could throughout my pregnancy. And then I was able to carry my twins to 36 weeks, which is actually a kind of normal time for twins to be delivered. And so now that our twins are here, I'm now back on track on my journey. Postpartum, my first weigh-in, I was actually like my first weigh-in after I had the babies. I think I was up to 292 pounds just from all the water weight. And I dropped that quickly. So then when I started back on my carnivore journey here, during my postpartum, I started in at 255 pounds. And now I've lost almost 30 pounds, I think now. I weighed in this morning at 224. So almost 30 pounds here in the last 2 months. So I'm trying to get those I'm 224. My goal was to get to 220 by the end of October. So I have 4 more pounds to go here. So it's been just a crazy ride of starting, falling off, getting pregnant, not being carnivore. And then now I'm back again on track, getting to carnivore. My goal is to, I started at 255 here on my restart of carnivore postpartum, and my goal is to lose 100 pounds in this next year, and I'm already down those 30 pounds so far. So there's my journey in a nutshell for you guys.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm going to jump right into that mom life because I know that you already had one child and now you have twins. So you've got 3 kids, which is something, I mean, I guess every day I have 30 in my classroom, but I don't know if that counts. I only have 2 of my own here at home, and I can't imagine being outnumbered, right? When you got 3, you're outnumbered. How do you juggle all of that? Like, how do you manage to stay on your carnivore way of eating and then juggle the because I know your other one wasn't very old, like I forget exactly, but pretty young, right? And then you've got the
He
twins.
just turned 3.
Yeah, I knew it.
Yeah.
how does that all work? How do you make that happen?
Okay, so my answer is actually really super simple. I fast a lot. Sometimes, but I'm honest, sometimes I just really don't have time to eat, but I feel like that makes it and it's not, if I really was super, super hungry, I could sit down and have a meal if I needed to. I would prioritize that. But it's being so busy with all the little children really helps me not be so snacky and helps me stay on track. And so it really is like, do I want to have a meal right now? Do I really want to take the time to go, make scrambled eggs or boil eggs or whatever? So yeah, I think that having all the little kids is actually super helpful. And my answer to stay on track is I feel like I just fast a lot more. OMAD comes a lot more naturally now. So yeah, but it's working for me.
I've had a ton of up downs, and it seems like when I come back, the same things don't seem to work. Are the same things working for you? Have you had to adjust your macros?
I've only been back on track here postpartum for 2 months. So I feel like my body hasn't really had enough time to readjust to this way of eating. So I haven't yet gotten to a point where I have stalled out. I am a carnivore plus dairy person. I'm not one of those super strict carnivores, so I do all meat, eggs, dairy, and I do allow I'm pretty lenient as far as carnivore goes. I'm very near that edge, but not having any of the vegetables right now. But, you know, if I do get to one of those stalls, I know Patrick experienced that in his journey. And one of the things that he did was, you know, he went to OMAD and then he started cutting dairy. So I'm still keeping those things in my toolbox, but I haven't had to pull them out yet because, you know, I'm just 2 months now here getting back on track. But yeah.
I think it's fantastic that you were really conscious about your health, and especially with being able to compare your two different pregnancies. One, you know, you had a slight complication with this one and a major complication with your first one. And thank God, you know, everyone is nice and healthy. What would you say to a mom that is thinking about having, starting a family or is wanting to get pregnant? What do you think you would say to them if they were thinking about a meat-based diet for pregnancy?
Yeah, I definitely think a meat-based diet for pregnancy is important. You know, everything we put into our body is directly fueling that baby that you're growing. But then even beyond that, into the postpartum phase, you know, with my first pregnancy, yes, I had a lot of complications. We were in the hospital. I had a very small baby. We didn't know if they were going to make it. And I definitely developed postpartum depression during that pregnancy. But I don't think during that first pregnancy, but I don't think the foods I was feeding my body was helping with that postpartum depression. I got to tell you, this postpartum period, you know, I have 2 babies and a 3-year-old. Like I could really easily spiral into postpartum depression, and it's very common with twin pregnancies. And we did still have a hospital stay with our babies, but I have not been struggling with the postpartum depression and the postpartum anxiety that I did with my first. And I think a really huge part of that is I'm not fueling my body with junk. I'm fueling my body with meat and protein and like, and then, you know, when I eat a high calorie breakfast, it's powering me through, even if I can't find time to eat, because you often can't with little babies. I'm not snacking on all of these carb foods that I would previously have snacked on during my postpartum period. So yeah, if you're a mom and you're thinking about having kids, I would definitely recommend a meat-based diet. And if you can't even fully transition, you know, to a carnivore or a keto diet, maybe just start with having a high protein breakfast. I know I was talking with Lily Nichols. She wrote the book Gestational Diabetes for Pregnancy. I think that I got the title right for that. But Lily Nichols, I was chatting with her, and she just really recommended for anyone who's pregnant, you know, or thinking about becoming pregnant, start your day with a high protein meal. So yeah, it really fuels your day. I couldn't recommend it more.
Yeah, we had Lily Nichols on Lioness a while back. So if you haven't seen that and you're watching this and you're interested, go check that episode out. She definitely talked about the recommendations for pregnancy. You know, the standard obstetrician is going to recommend, it's like, it's way too low. She definitely, that was one of the things that she really hit on, was that need for more protein. So you talked about during your pregnancy, you went more toward like a keto, low carb. I'm interested to hear more about that. Like, how were you eating? Because the meat aversions I mean, when I was pregnant, I was nowhere near a proper human diet, but I remember chicken just seemed like so disgusting to me when I was pregnant. But I don't remember being averse to all meat. It was really just the chicken.
Yeah. So I was super averse and nauseous the entire first trimester. And so I was just in survival mode. I think I was just surviving on beef broth and then chicken noodle soup with crackers. So that's not low carb or anything, just pure survival. But then after that, into the second and third trimester, I was just trying to eat as much protein as I could. And oftentimes that came in the form of eggs. And sometimes that came in the form of Greek yogurt with berries, or I was really into a cauliflower rice taco bowl with fried peppers and onions. So different things like that to kind of disguise the meat when I was being so averse to it, so that I could still get as much nutrients and protein as I could, while still facing those meat aversions. It's been so nice now that the babies are out and here that I can just go ahead and eat my eggs and meat and not have to worry about it anymore.
This is kind of a personal question, but people always say like, there's no way you're going to have any breast milk if you're not eating carbohydrates. Did you end up breastfeeding? And if so, did you have any milk?
So with both kids, since with all my children, since they were all in the NICU, they were all born small. So my first was 2 pounds 14 ounces. My twin girl was born at 3 pounds, and then the twin brother was born at 5 pounds. They just really, since they're born early, they just really struggle to latch. And so that they're so tiny, they just struggle to get the breast milk out. So I've just always been an exclusive pumper because fed is best. I'm just going to say that because it's a controversial issue. Fed is best, but I just personally want to try to give my kids breast milk even if they can't latch. So I'm just an exclusive pumper. And so I can actually really monitor how my milk supply is being affected by what I eat, or, if I um, only had 2 meals a day versus 1 meal a day of carnivore meals, how does that impact my milk supply? And for me personally, as long as I am drinking water and not having a fasting period over 24 hours, my milk supply does not drop. So it's really important to me that I at least eat 1 meal a day and drink tons of water. So I have not found it true, at least for me, that I have to have carbohydrates to keep my milk supply up. But I will say the caveat to that is I've also personally never had a problem with milk supply. I've always been an oversupplier. And even now, I'm 3 months postpartum. Usually it's pretty tricky to increase your milk supply now. If I just add in a few more pump sessions, I can easily increase my milk supply, but I know that's not the case for everybody. But for me, I haven't seen it to impact. So if you're worried about it, if you are a breastfeeding mom, I mean, you could try pumping so you could measure it a little bit more if you're worried about it.
And that's so great. Because you could learn all about a meat-based diet, carnivore, keto. You could learn about all of this wonderful lifestyle, and then you'll get the fear mongering from the internet, and you'll see these comments, and there's just like message boards and comment. I mean, Instagram is the worst. I think I've said that before on the show, but just so much hate on it. And I recently, and I'll just go ahead and say I had a miscarriage, and I was eating a carnivore diet, and I don't think that it was not because of the diet. And that's going to be something that people will say, like, oh, you ate this way because you had a miscarriage. I think that it is so important that we give our body the proper fuel. And you're just like, your testament right there is saying, like, I had milk. Even if I fast, like, you don't hear that. All doctors ever say is, I want to give you, just eat your oatmeal, just eat all your carbs. And I find that to be really heartbreaking, because with my first pregnancy, I did keto. That's how I got pregnant. That's how I got healthy. And then my doctor kind of like said, you know what, you're going to harm your baby if you do that. And so it kind of like broke my heart, and I didn't follow through with it. So I'm a big proponent of being like, do your own research, not be your own doctor. Obviously, listen to your doctor. This is not medical advice. This is like all like a bunch of girlfriends just hanging out and sharing their experiences. So there's one thing though that is a common misconception with, I think, new parents, is that you're like so drained and you have no energy, because obviously babies are a lot of work. Do you find that being on the carnivore diet that you have more energy? Let's tell those internet trolls what's up.
I woke up this morning at 3 a.m. and I have not gone back to sleep until now. What time is it? 7 p.m. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've been up for 16 hours. So that was not on purpose. I just couldn't go back to sleep, and I'm actually not tired. I've maybe had 1 or 2 cups of coffee this morning, but I think that's thanks to the carnivore diet and my body fueling itself with fat, that even though I've been up for 16 hours and I've fed newborn twins in the middle of the night at 3 a.m. and not been able to go back to sleep. I've been with my toddler all day. I've folded laundry and doing dishes and all the things, keeping up with my kids. I'm not crashing, and it's 7 p.m. So I just think that's a huge testament to a carnivore or a meat-based lifestyle where your body is burning your fat for fuel. I just have so much energy, and I don't remember being this energetic with my first pregnancy postpartum. I look back at my pictures and I'm dying and napping all the time. And it's great that I'm eating this way now because I do not have any time to take a nap during the day. So yes, I'm just very thankful for the carnivore diet. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. I remember how tired I was. You have a super chat, and I did see your question earlier, Mark, too. So I actually had it start and was going to ask it, but I'm going to put up the super chat version. So thank you so much. Mark would like to know, have either of you, and I'm assuming he's talking to you, Caitlyn, and referring to the carnivore couple, have either of you experienced constipation during your journey? And if so, what are the actions you take to help stop constipation?
We personally have not experienced constipation on our carnivore journeys. Our problem is usually the opposite for about the first week. Just runnier stools. Have you guys ever experienced this or could speak to that? I would just say drink more water, but I'm not and talk to your doctor perhaps.
Yeah, I'm going to throw this up to Ellie because my answer is similar to you, Caitlyn, where it's kind of tends to be the opposite if I have a problem. But I know Ellie up here.
Can we talk about how much a girl struggles? I've been struggling my whole life. That, like, not to go into too much detail, but a little detail to paint a picture. I was the toilet clogger my whole life, just always gassy. And then when I started doing the carnivore diet, you start to get the keto flu and everything, and then you're supposed to like be running to the bath. Yeah, poop alert, thank you. Poop talk. You're supposed to be like running to the bathroom, and it was the first time in my life where I was like, oh, I'm not straining when I go. And that's been really, really nice. Now I'm not going every day. And the only time I experience what I call, like, if you're straining, that, because I had chronic constipation from eating standard American, I'd only go once or twice a month. It'd be like 4 hours, like on the toilet, off the toilet, on the toilet, blacking out. Not really blacking out, but just being so exhausted. Sorry, Mark. I don't know if you wanted this whole story, but I'll wrap it up. Basically, it's like the first time in my life on a carnivore diet where I'm not straining, and it just comes out, and it's about 1 to 3 times a week. And so that's been really, really relieving for me, because I think I possibly have IBS. So I hope that answers your question, and I'm done.
Pick me. I know that they were actually referring to you and your husband, but we like to weigh in too. Okay, so prior to this, I was chronically constipated, like chronic, and I just kept doing all the things they said, like eating buckets of lettuce. I was watching a video today, and this lady was going on and on about how we all need to eat our fiber, and I'm like, oh my gosh, how do people not know anymore that that's inflammatory? But anyway, since going carnivore, it's been fine, except that I take a binder for an illness called chronic inflammatory response syndrome. But when I stopped taking that binder, it's just magical. It's amazing. Best bowel movements ever. But I was recently sitting down with Maria Emmerich, and this poop conversation came up, because that's what us carnivores, us ketos, that's what we like to talk about, is poop at lunch. And I said, well, don't we just need to eat more fat? Shouldn't we just eat some liquid fat? And she said, actually, it can be caused from a nutrient deficiency, like vitamin D, zinc, magnesium, and some of your B vitamins. So something to look into if you're still having constipation after going carnivore and you've tried the fat, perhaps you need a solid vitamin. Perhaps you have a deficiency. Thanks for letting me talk about poop.
That was a hot take. That was, oh wow. Maria Emmerich has so much knowledge. I need to learn more from her.
She's awesome. Okay, I don't know whose turn it is to ask questions. It's me? Okay, cool. Oh shoot. Well, we were talking about poop and that distracted me.
Oh no, you're good. We can just chat.
I just want to take the time to commend you, 3 months postpartum, already working on some of that pregnancy weight, because I didn't start for, I swear, like a year after each kid. And not only are you able to lose the weight, but you still have a milk supply. That is amazing. I just want to commend you. I just want to commend you. I just think that that's amazing. Did you have a doctor at all that, like, I had a midwife and she told me about Lily Nichols. How did you find out about Lily Nichols and all this? Is it just your own research, or?
It was just my own research. I was looking into different ways to, when we were thinking about getting pregnant again, the first pregnancy was pretty traumatic. So I was just trying to do anything I could to prevent getting preeclampsia again. And so I was looking into, we were on our carnivore journey, so I was looking into, what are different nutrients or different ways that I could prevent preeclampsia, and I came across her website and learning about, supplementing with magnesium and potassium and how sometimes you can be low in that, and that can potentially be a cause of preeclampsia. They don't for sure know, but that's how I came across her website, and I just fell in love with everything that she talks about for women and nutrition, because I feel like so many people are just scared to talk about nutrition during pregnancy because you technically can't study it because they don't do studies on pregnant women. But I love that she tackles it and that she backs everything up that she says with research, and that she still recommends, a high protein diet, and that what is it? Pregnant women, the guidelines are like, what, 70% too low for pregnant women, so that we just continuously need more protein in our diet. But yeah, that's how I came across Lily Nichols. So again, shout out to her. Visit her website.
Yeah, she definitely was an amazing guest on the show. I did put a link in the chat, so if anyone wants to watch it after this episode, it's the edited version. So you'll just be getting all the nice little tidbits. But then you could also go to any of our channels in our playlist when we were streaming, because this is now a consolidated channel. Please subscribe to our Lioness Lifestyle and the Carnivore Couple. Also, I just wanted to throw that out there. But you can watch the live unedited version there. I want to ask you about your husband and do you feel like it's, I guess, what's the right way to say it? I find that a lot of people on the carnivore diet talk about mental clarity and how they're able to think better and how they're able to just focus like on what's truly important. So I was wondering how it's made you feel with your husband. Do you feel like you're more connected? Do you feel like just that general essence, like how do you think it's affected your relationship?
How
I know it
has
was
the
broad.
carnivore diet affected our relationship?
Yeah, do
When
you
you
feel
say
like you're
that,
able to Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, when you say that question, my mind actually goes somewhere different. Something that we haven't actually talked about on our channel that I've thought about bringing up. It's just really a tricky way to talk about it, but how it so when I got pregnant, I'd lost 60 pounds. I'd gained a little bit back from my um kind of off plan there for a little bit. But I was not trying to lose weight during pregnancy, and I probably wouldn't try to lose weight during pregnancy personally. But he was still on his weight loss journey, right? So then by the end of my pregnancy, he had already reached his goal weight. And so for me, how did carnivore change our relationship? It was honestly really tricky to see him be able to continue his weight loss journey, but then feel like I was stuck and couldn't do it. And so I personally struggled a lot with like self-image and like, who is this guy? He looks completely different. Am I attracted to a skinny guy? I mean, I'm sure I am, but it wasn't that I wasn't attracted to him being skinny. It was more so like, I'm not where I want to be. Do I feel like that type of guy would like me? Even like, but I'm still so secure in our marriage. Like these are just thoughts that I had. But when you ask me, how did carnivore affect our marriage? That has been a tricky part for me. Not something that he has done or anything like that, but just, we started, at the same place, but him getting there way first before me, just my own insecurities in that has been tricky for sure. But also, I feel like it's impacted our relationship in that um, we're tackling it together, and he's constantly encouraging me, even if I wasn't there at the same time. He's still Rudy Beyond. He's like the best. He's the best cheerleader. Like I was editing a video last night, and he had all three kids upstairs, and he came down with a little plate of dinner for me with some eggs and some sausage and a drink, and I was like, thank you so much. Like he's so supportive. Like that was my one meal of the day. I hadn't had time to eat, so he's just really supportive. So like having we're like unified toward a singular goal of, striving towards the best health for ourselves and for our kids. I feel like that's brought us closer as a couple together, that, we're going on this journey together, even if he got there first and I had a little bit of insecurities within my own self because of that.
Yeah, that's interesting that you say that, because I wouldn't have thought of that myself, but you're right. And I think if I were in your shoes, I would have felt those exact same insecurities for sure. A lot of us, well, I guess half of us on the screen, because Ellie, your husband eats like you eat, but a lot of people that I know in the carnivore community, it's just us. Like, it's the one carnivore in the family and no one else really eats this way. And so we rely on this community very heavily for, support and camaraderie, and maybe not making us feel like quite such a weirdo. Like, we might feel out in the wild, so to speak. So I wanted to ask you about you and your husband are a pretty big part of the carnivore community with your YouTube channel, which I know I personally really enjoy. What are your thoughts on our community here, and how do you feel? What's your role in it, do you feel?
Oh man, that's a question. I've never really thought about our channel playing a huge role in the carnivore community, honestly. What is our role in the community? I just feel like there's so many people who have gotten to a point where they've tried everything else and they've failed. In that there's so many people who just need encouragement to just keep going, keep trying. You can do this. Don't give up. You had a cheat meal, but get right back on. And I feel like that's a big part of what our channel plays, is just to encourage people to keep going and to hopefully just be honest with people that just because your carnivore journey doesn't look like this perfect thing doesn't mean that you can't get to what you want to do or what you want to be. As far as the carnivore, so that's what I think, like, our channel's role, I think, is in the carnivore community, is just to encourage people to keep going and to keep going even if your end goal isn't to stay carnivore. I feel like that's something we try to really talk about on our channel, is that carnivore may not be for everybody. It may be for a season of your life. It may be the thing that you do for the rest of your life. It may help you lose weight quick and then you go to something else. I mean, I feel like there's so many different perspectives on how people use carnivore, but I think overall the end goal should be improving the health of your life with a meat-based lifestyle, even if that's not only eating meat. So I think that's like another piece that we try to represent in the carnivore community, because there is one side of the carnivore community, who's like beef, salt, water, that's it. And I feel like we try to come up against that just a little bit to be inclusive to people so that they don't feel like this can't be for them, that you can find something that works for you. And even if you end up not being carnivore, even if you end up being ketovore or keto, or even just low carb, that you can find something that works for you and you can change your health. So I hope that is what we represent in the carnivore community.
I love that. I've had people reach out to me from like local, and they give it a try and they're like, "Ooh, this is just too overwhelming." And I don't ever want them to think, "Well, then you can't be part of my club." I just want you guys to eat more meat. Like before this, my plate was veggies with a little piece of meat because I was told all we needed was like smaller than the size of your palm and everything else should be plants. I'd like to switch that around for people. Eat whole foods, but eat lots of meat. So for you, is this way of eating, is this what you think that you will mostly maintain lifelong? Is this about weight loss? Is this about other things?
For me, I think that my carnivore journey, if I'm honest, I don't think I'm going to be carnivore for the rest of my life. I honestly am not like a huge meat eater. I have to cook meat in many different ways, um, so that I actually like it. I'm not the person who just wants to eat steak every night. Patrick is that person, but I'm not that person. I'm just not a heavy meat eater. So for me, the reason that I'm carnivore is because I do think it's a really great way for me to lose weight, because it is so high protein. And with my past of being addicted to carbs and being a food addict, restricting it down to something so simple has helped me deal with my food addiction head on and really overcome that. And so that's one of the reasons I'm carnivore. The other reasons I'm carnivore, and when I'm talking carnivore, I'm carnivore plus dairy, just to clarify for some people, because some people don't do dairy. The other reason I'm carnivore is that I do want to see if there is something in my diet that is causing the autoinflammatory condition that I have, hidradenitis suppurativa, because I have noticed when I do have, like, sometimes if I ever do have like a cheat meal, and usually it's going to have seed oils or carbs in it, that I do end up with a flare up. So I'm just curious of how I can use the carnivore diet to help me pinpoint that. But personally, when I get to where I want to be, I don't think I'm going to stay carnivore forever. I think I'm going to be heavily meat based, and there will be some days where all I eat is meat, and there'll be some days where I eat a whole lot of meat and some vegetables, preferably organic, trying to avoid the pesticides and things like that. But I'm not really sure where I'll exactly end up, but I don't think it'll be just strict carnivore for the rest of my life.
Yeah, and I'm feeling the same way lately. We've just been in our personal lives, we've just been hit with a lot of it's just a lot of rocky storms we're kind of sailing through at the moment, but things are finally getting better, and I feel like life is just so wonderful. And I think that carnivore and keto are the best tools that you can use to get your health back. Like, go back to square one, zero in, and you get to be able to communicate better with your body. And because you're able to have that better communication, it's like your mind is clearer, and you're not. And I think the real culprit, honestly, is just all the processed foods and those seed oils and natural flavorings and, all the preservatives and everything like that. I really like this topic. I do want to touch on it, but because I agree with it a lot. And that's how I'm feeling. But I love this comment from Heather. She's been writing some great comments in the chat. Thank you to everyone who's been commenting in the chat. The chat is one of our favorite parts. That's why we made the consolidated channel. But she says, that's what I love about Carnivore Couple. They give you grace in the struggle and realize not all of us can go full steam ahead. Patrick's success is so inspiring. I relate to Caitlyn. And then she goes on to say, I'm taking a slower approach this time. I have carnivore goals, but recently realized I need to take it slower and begin with keto. Not all the crazy recipes, but pretty clean. And I think that that's so beautiful that, kind of based off Cristie's comment or question earlier, I feel like you're accomplishing what you want and how you really are helping the community. I love your channel personally. So why do you think it sometimes is a struggle, and why do you think you struggle to keep up with? Is it just because you dislike eating meat, you're not in love with eating it, or do you think there's something else going on?
I think it's because societally our world revolves around food, and most people are not carnivore. And so you see people eating everything else, and you want to fit in too. I mean, it's the oldest play in the book. You want to do what your tribe's doing. And lots of us do not have tribes that are eating carnivore. I mean, if the whole world was carnivore, it'd probably be a whole lot easier to stay on carnivore. But I don't know about y'all, but when I tell people, oh yeah, I'm carnivore, I only eat meat, there's a few like, is that healthy? Should you be doing that? Why are you doing that? You're weird. I don't know if y'all experience that much or can speak to that.
Yeah, do we all share a little bit? Go ahead, Cristie.
Yeah, I was just going to chime right in and say, yes, I totally experienced that. But I'm kind of an introvert, so I get it, like how people feel the need to do what their tribe is doing, but I've just never really had that. So, and the health benefits I have are so awesome. My mom also went keto, and my brother is like, he goes carnivore, but then he loses too much weight. I'm like, just want to smack him. But anyway, he goes carnivore and then he loses too much weight. And so he has to add back a few carbs in just so he doesn't completely turn into a skeleton. But he's heavy meat as well. He already went through his, we ordered half a cow and we shared it with myself and this brother that I just mentioned and my mom, and his meat's gone. Like, my meat's not even gone, and I'm carnivore. His meat's gone. So when I say he eats a lot of meat, yeah, he eats a lot of meat. And so it makes family gatherings and stuff, easy. And the people at work, they don't quite get it. Like, they try their best. So when there's a teacher, the principal will provide lunch, let's say, for the staff. and she tries her best, but the meat always has some kind of sugary sauce. Like she got Hawaiian barbecue and the meat she's like, I got you, but it's just meat. I'm like, yeah, with sugary sauce all over it. And I felt bad, but I didn't eat any. And I'm like, thank you for playing. Thank you for trying. No, really. Seriously though. Thank you for trying. I mean, she's thinking about it, right? She's trying. But I definitely get that. Like, it's funny because I could sit there eating Lucky Charms and Oreos all day and no one would say a thing, you know, but, oh, I eat a lot of steak and picanha and eggs and butter. And suddenly everyone's worried about my cholesterol and my heart and my fill in the blank thing that they're worried about. So I'll let the other ladies chime in. What's your experience been on that?
I've had family members who literally have told me they want nothing to do with my social media, do not post before pictures with them in it, and they think I'm nuts and they're embarrassed by me and they don't want anything to do with this. And so that's why I love meetups. Have you been to any meetups, Caitlyn?
No, we haven't. We live pretty far out in the boonies over here.
Oh, it'd be so great. You should definitely
Yeah.
go. Everybody would be so excited to meet you. Yeah, so I just love meetups. I love our community. I love these chats. I love these calls. It's like, hey, I'm not weird. But I get like it stinks when you go to the airport, when you go to the gas station, when you go to the pharmacy. There's nothing we can eat almost. You know, I'm about to go to a very fancy banquet. We have to pay $50 a ticket, and it's pork with apple glaze, and then salad and vegetables, and you know. So I'll probably bring some picanha and bacon.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like a bad treat.
Yeah, I think it's also tricky to stay on track, not just socially, but then just when you're out and about, like you said, like there's hardly any clean food. And if you want to go try to find clean food, you really have to search for it. It's not always convenient, and the things that are convenient aren't good for you, you know, or if you're someone like me, you know, who really struggled with, you know, going to fast food because that's how you dealt with your emotions, you know, seeing all those fast foods reminds me of all the places that I used to go to, and it's tempting me every time I'm out and about. So I think that's why sometimes it can be tricky, at least for me, to stay on track. But I've only had one cheat meal in these last 2 months. I'm talking about it this Friday in a video I just finished, but I'm back on track, right on track. So we're doing good.
I'm so glad to hear that you're getting right back on track. I've been struggling, guys, and it's true. And you know, I went through a pretty traumatic thing, I think. And you know,
Yeah.
if you guys aren't caught up with me, you know, my husband was in the hospital. He had horrible ulcerative colitis flare up, just not being on his medicine and everything like that. And so, you know, and then you have the 2 kids plus the other toddler that I watch, and so it's been hard. But you know, I've not been going back to my old usual routine of being like, I'm upset about something, I'm gonna go to the fridge. I'm upset about something,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to the fridge. I don't do that anymore. I used to, what I like to say is that, like, before eating carnivore, the fridge's light was like a siren song. Like I'd see it and I get that dopamine response, and I was just like, yes, what do I get to eat now? And I don't think I was fully conscious of it, you know? So emotional eating and volume eating is definitely plays a part in my past, but I feel like I've been able to focus on, at least I'm eating whole food. Like, give yourself, like, there's some people, you know, Kelly, she says here, just to tie it in, Kelly says she fell off the wagon the last 2 days and had sugar, feels awful, hoping all is not lost, have been strict carnivore for 5 months until yesterday. I think we should all talk maybe a little bit about this, give Kelly some encouragement. You know, it's like, I've been off the wagon for 2 months, you know, and it's tough. It's tough, especially, like, I mean, just being a normal person and wanting to be motivated, and you know how healthy this way of eating is. But then it's also on the flip side when you're like a influencer, you know, we're an influencer, and then you have to share, you know, the struggle. But I think that's what's so beautiful about it, is that we're able to share that. Don't beat yourself up, Kelly. Seriously, like, think about all the blessings that you have in your life, and that you have the knowledge to be able to take care of yourself, and you have the tool to use to fix the problem. And so I would love to hear, you know, any of you ladies would like to give Kelly some motivation or kind words?
Yeah, I'm so glad you popped that up there, Ellie, because I was gonna if someone else didn't. And I wanted to encourage Kelly as well. So Ellie is totally right. All is not lost. You have 5 months of experience on this way of eating, and I don't know you, but I'm sure I know in my first 5 months, I learned a ton about my body, my hunger signals, the way my body was able to kind of let me know what it needs, when it needs more fat or whatever. So I'm very sure that you've learned a lot, and you now know, like Ellie said, that this way of eating is so nutritious. And I would also like to say that if that, eating of that sugar has brought back the craving monster, just stay full, just eat meat and stay full. Don't worry about macros or calories or any of that stuff. Just stay full, eat bacon, put a little salt on your tongue. Sometimes that helped me in the beginning to kick a craving.
And I just want to say what a beast you are. 5 months? Oh my gosh. I made it like 2.5 months before I had something that wasn't on my plan. I think that's amazing. And I think the longer we go on this trail, the more we have to embrace the fact that it is not going to be perfect. And how are we going to veer where we want to be to get us to our goals when things aren't perfect? Because they just never will be. And anybody out there who's preaching that they're perfect, either they're lying or they're just really annoying. So I think 5 months is amazing, and you got this. You know what you feel like when you eat optimally. Just hold on to that and remember you're going to feel better. And I heard a really great coach. She said, remember that it actually only takes like 3 days of clean eating to feel better. So this summer, I gained about 30 pounds, okay? I did not go off of carnivore. I just started consuming dairy. I remember her saying 3 days, 3 days, 3 days. And yeah, I didn't lose 30 pounds in 3 days, and I still haven't lost the 30 pounds. But 3 days of clean eating, I felt like I was back to me again. So just remember, it actually is a very short time before you'll feel good again, even if you're like 30 pounds down. So thank you for sharing, Kelly.
Yeah, congratulations for being strict carn for 5 months. That's amazing. But yeah, how you're saying you feel awful, but then also the hoping all is not lost. It can be really tricky when you do go off plan, especially if it's your first time, because you do kind of feel like you're spiraling out of control, and you can be really hard on yourself. And like you were saying, giving yourself 3 days. I actually just did this, so I'm just back on my carnivore journey again postpartum. So I'm 2 months back onto my journey, and about a week ago, Patrick and I finally got to go on a date, and I ate pizza and I ate apple crumble with ice cream. Hopefully that doesn't trigger any of y'all. But anyway, so what I also felt that way, I was finally back to my, pre-pregnancy starting weight. And it's like, okay, if I don't rein this in, like I'm just not gonna lose any more weight. So kind of like you said, the trick for me was that the next meal, not the next day, but the next meal has to be on plan, and then do that, like you said, for the next 3 days. And so that's actually what this next video is about that we're posting on Friday, is a 3-day carnivore challenge. So if you feel like you are off track and you want to watch me struggle and get back on track from my pizza and ice cream, go watch that. Because yeah, like you said, you just need 3 days to get back on track, and I'm already feeling so much better, and I already feel like I'm back into a routine of things. But it can be kind of a scary place when you're feeling like hoping all is not lost and you feel like you're going to spiral, but you can get back on track.
That was amazing, everyone. Okay, we have another super chat, so I want to make sure it gets put up here. It's again from Mark, so thank you, Mark. He said, I think dairy contributes to constipation for me. I've been on and off carnivore, and one thing that is nice is the grocery shopping. Go to meat department. Done. Do all of you on this panel feel like you are carb addicts? I definitely was a carb addict, am a carb addict. I don't know. I haven't had any carbs. I've eaten a few pickles here and there, an avocado even more rarely than that, but I haven't had anything with actual sugar or like processed food in over a year. I don't know what would happen if I like ate a Dorito. Would the monster come right back out, right? I don't know. But I can tell you that stuff, the Doritos and the ice cream, wherever it was in the house, Oreos, all that stuff, it would call to me from the cupboard. And if there was any in there, I was going to eat it. And it wasn't one Oreo, and it wasn't even a sleeve of Oreos. It might be a sleeve and a half of Oreos, until I was so like sick that I would think at the moment, like, I'll never eat another Oreo. But guess where I was tomorrow? Back in the face down in the Oreos, right? And so, yep, it would call to me from there. If we didn't have anything, which, let's be real, we probably always had a little something, but if we didn't have the thing I was craving the most, I was like sad about it. I would figure out, how to get it, how to scratch that itch, how to get it done. I couldn't just enjoy my evening, because it was like, ooh, what's in the cupboard? And if I was trying to lose weight, it's like, when is it bedtime so I can go to sleep and stop like obsessing for 3 hours before bedtime about fill in the blank, crap thing. It was, for me, sweet or salty. I had a thing with chips and popcorn, and a thing with, ice cream and Oreos, like I said. So I do think that. And even when I was keto, and I was, I stayed on my keto eating, but with keto, you can have nuts and things like that. So with keto, the nuts were definitely a problem. And when I was keto, the cheese was a problem. I, like Caitlyn, do include dairy, but probably not every day. It's just like when the mood strikes me. Like, I saw some raw cheese and I bought 8 ounces of it. It took me 3 or 4 days to eat it. It's gone. I haven't had cheese since then. So being carnivore, I feel like I have much more, I don't know, moderation powers. I don't know. Over the cheese, when it was keto, I was constantly going back for more cheese, more cheese, more cheese, more cheese. So cheese was a problem, for me then. So I think being carnivore with a little dairy here and there has definitely helped me. I don't think about that other food. And like Caitlyn said, pizza and ice cream, and that it didn't trigger me, Caitlyn. So it's like, okay, like, yes, that exists, but I don't want it anymore. So
I'm addicted to everything. I went lion diet and I found myself binging short ribs. So I'm in a place right now where I'm kind of looking like from the sky and looking down and trying to figure out, okay, how am I going to handle this? And so what I've recently done is just say, I get to have sweetener in my drink. And now I don't feel so restrictive to even want those things. And I never thought I would be at a place. It's working today. Will it work forever? I don't know. But it's working today to say I get to have a sweet drink, and that's where I leave it. And I'm still working on that, because I think carnivore is a really helpful tool towards working towards not binging, being a type of person. But the minute you go back to the other stuff, it's still there. So I feel like there's more work to be done here. What is the answer? I don't know. Do you guys know? Tell us, Caitlyn and Ellie.
Well, for me, I feel, am I a carb addict? I definitely was a carb addict. I was always looking forward to what I could eat next. Like, oh, I get to eat pizza, or I get to eat Chinese food was one of those, or like instant ramens. Like, cause I'm a total nerd, guys. I'd watch anime and eat ramen, and we don't have to get into that. Anyway, so it's like the definitely, and I mentioned earlier, I had that emotional tied to food. Absolutely. Was I a carb addict before? Yes. And during like interviews and stuff, like just chatting with other carnivores, usually the question is like, are you a moderator or an abstainer? And I always had trouble with this question, because kind of like what Cristie said, is like, well, I don't know if I am, because I haven't had the thing that triggered me in the first place. And now I'm at this point where it's like, yeah, I've been having some rice. That's basically all I've had. I've been having rice, and then I'm still eating all my other carnivore foods. So it's not like I've gone completely off the wagon. But yeah, so I think I've become a moderator because I've worked on it. I've learned what true fullness feels like. And so we'll see how it goes. Please pray for me.
Yeah, I'm definitely there with you with the emotional eating, not necessarily just carbs in general, but just using food in general to deal with emotions has always been my struggle too.
Okay, we have one last question here. Do you guys plan to feed your kids this way, or what? How do you plan to feed your kids? This is really hard for most parents to manage, and I have kids in school. It's so hard because I can't control what happens there. I can't control if the teacher's giving out candy. Even if I can say it, they just look at you like you're a nut job. So what do you guys plan on doing?
I guess I'll go. I guess for us, we're just focusing on high protein, and then when we do vegetables, trying to make them organic or from our garden. And then if we do, we might do some starches, but making them not processed, so like a grain or something like that. I personally don't plan to have my child on a carnivore or keto diet. They're not struggling with any insulin issues right now, so I don't find any problem with having some of the like a whole grain, like a rice or a potato or a sweet potato, like things like that, kind of like more on the paleo spectrum of like a carbohydrate. I'm not perfect with that. Our son today, he had organic strawberries and chicken, and then he had like half a grilled cheese. And the thing that's funny to me about the grilled cheese was that Patrick was eating steak, of course, because that's what he does. And our son goes, "Dad, I ate a little bit of my grilled cheese. Now can I have steak?" Like, like as someone would be like, "Dad, I ate steak. Now can I have grilled cheese?" Like he was the opposite. Like he was like, "I had a bite of my grilled cheese. Can I like have steak, please now?" So it's just crazy because he's 3, and we're not always perfect, but he wants the meat products. And so we just keep offering them.
Amazing. I wish it was like that in my house. It's quite well. I have one kid like that, and then I have one kid that isn't. So, it's like it's definitely a juggling act for sure. I focus on, so my kids were on a carnivore diet. I did it because I was really concerned about my daughter, who was very picky, who would only pretty much eat carbs and starches and stuff like that. At that point, I had already removed all the processed foods and all that stuff, and we were really focusing on that. And we did the strict carnivore thing, and then because I did that, her meat aversions, which she was like really not for me at all, they changed, and now she has her favorites. She loves burgers, like well done, like crispy, thin. She'll eat them like that. She loves her bacon and she loves her sausage, and that's pretty much it. We've tried to give her lamb, fish, chicken, anything. I've even tried to do like the trick with the panko. It just no. So it's tough, and so I definitely want to focus on protein. And I talk to a lot of keto carnivore moms, because I did a podcast for a while just talking about this very subject. It's called Mother Knows Best. So I know Nia already knows about that because she was on it. It's a great resource, and Caitlyn was also on it. It's a great resource for those who just want to hear a different mindset. But it's really hard. I feel like you have to go one way or another. Like you have to go full on into like a keto or carnivore diet, or you have to go more whole food balanced. I feel like it's really difficult. Like you try to do, at least for us, you try to do like carnivore at home, and then you go out and they have like whatever they want because you want to promote choice. And I think that's a great way to do it if your kids can handle it. But my kids are very strong-willed, and they will want that food consistently because it's really hard. They're so little, they don't really know how to regulate it. So it's tough. And so just do the best you can, really. And if your kid's not getting sick often, you feel like they're doing well in school or learning, they're getting along well with other kids, and they're healthy, then just take that as a blessing and just do your best with each and every meal.
So my son is older. Well, I have 2 sons, but one of them is 18, turning 19. So he eats whatever he eats. He's technically an adult. But my other son just turned 16, and we started him carnivore when he was 15. And sort of, I guess, to Ellie's point, at least partially, it was very, strict. We started him strict keto, almost carnivore. He was having a few things, and now he's almost 100% carnivore with dairy. He does more cheese than I do and whole milk. But my point is that because it was for his ADHD, it was to see if it would help his ADHD, and it did. I'm like, he doesn't even want a carb. He didn't even ask for cake for his birthday, Like, why am I going to do that? So when it was his birthday, our tradition has, we go out to a restaurant because, I'm lazy and I don't want to like clean my house and throw a party, and I don't want to do that. So we go out. And he was like, where can we go that's going to, go with this way of eating? Like that's what he asked. Like, I didn't tell him to ask that, or I didn't say, you got to go to a restaurant that's where you can get something carnivore. Like, he asked me without me saying anything. And he does that kind of thing frequently, where he'll be like, he's invited to a birthday party this coming Saturday. A friend of his is turning 16 and they're going to have a taco truck. And he's like, what do you think a taco truck would have that I could eat? I'm like, well, they'll probably have shredded, beef, shredded pork, shredded chicken, that kind of thing, and cheese and stuff. And he was like, okay, well, I'll probably just do that then, but he asked these questions. He doesn't want the other stuff. And I think it's because, when we changed his diet, we just changed it. We did substitution type foods, which I won't get into because I know that we're over time, but we did like carnivore pizza and like substitute type foods. Now he's totally into the chuck roast and stuff like that. And he doesn't ask for other stuff. I haven't had to force it on him. I haven't told him when he goes to friends' houses, when you're over there, don't you eat that pizza and those chips. That I know that I haven't said anything. I just said, would you like me to send you some food just in case you get hungry? He says, yes, I do. He tells me he eats that. And I don't think that he ate the other stuff and didn't tell me, because the one time when he did pop a sucker in his mouth, when his teacher gave him a candy as a reward, he came home and said, I had an oops today because my teacher gave me a sucker. And without thinking about it, I took off the wrapper and popped it in my mouth. But then I threw it in the trash, he said. So he does very well. And I'm not worried about, he knows he has choices because I've given him those choices. It really didn't take long at all for whatever the switch is that flips to flip for him. Now if he asks for breakfast, he asks for eggs and sausage. He doesn't ask for anything. He doesn't ask for, I do have like a carnivore pancake recipe that I used to do all the time, and he never even asked for them. He just asked for eggs and sausage. So it's pretty awesome. I'm still working on the other one. We'll see. How about you, Adrian?
I have 2 kids who struggle with things, and one is very metabolic, and the other one, we can call it lots of things. He's very aggressive and full of energy and difficult to sit still. And so I'm trying to be very, very, very strict. Now, we recently went to a school's trunk or treat, and so they each have this bag of freaking candy. Sorry, I did not swear. It just sounded like I did. And so now that it's here, he's like, hey, if I'm good, can I have a piece of candy? And I was like, that's what's going to make you move, I guess. Because I'm telling you, every single task on earth with this child is impossible. Every single task. Wipe your butt is impossible. Drink your water is impossible. Put your sock on is impossible. Everything's impossible. But for candy, the kid will do anything. So I give him his little piece of candy. And what did he do today? He decked a kid in the face at school. So I really have to be super, super strict, or there's consequences. So that's where we're at right now, is we have to be strict. I don't want to be, but we have to be.
Mm-hmm.
Is it time for the meaty wheel?
It's totally time for the meaty wheel. I was waiting for someone to say it. All right. I am going to share this meaty wheel up on my screen. It always takes time. I'm clicking buttons. I promise you. Here it comes. All right. This is our Lioness Lifestyle Live meaty wheel. And Caitlyn, I'm going to give it a spin and we'll see what kind of question we can hunt down for you.
Oh, man. I have to answer it?
Yeah, it's for you, the guest. All right, we did hunt down this meaty question. Are there any resources or communities that have been particularly helpful for you?
I honestly say I feel like everybody should start a YouTube channel, because you really feel connected to other carnivores when you are in this space. If Patrick and I hadn't started this YouTube channel, I wouldn't be talking with you guys and learning about how you guys feed your kids. Or I saw Carnivore Kip was in the chat here for a little bit, and we chatted with Alia, I always say her name wrong, Alia Wells, and Intentional Carnivore. I just love the community and that we are part of creating things, but then also supporting each other. So I just love being part of the YouTube community on the creating side as well.
That's awesome.
let's share your channel, Caitlyn, because obviously we love you. You're amazing. And you actually have a
You're
really
sweet.
great channel that you share with Patrick. Can you tell us about what kind of videos you make? I know what kind of videos you make. But could you tell our viewers about what kind of videos you make and any upcoming projects?
Yeah, so we basically make videos documenting our weight loss journey or how we're staying on track. Patrick recently discovered that he is low in testosterone, so he's going to start tackling that and making some updates about that. I do some recipe videos, and then upcoming here, if you are a person who has fallen off track on your carnivore diet, this Friday is a 3-day carnivore challenge. So if you're off track, I mean, start today. Don't wait till Friday. Start today, 3-day carnivore challenge. But yeah, those are kind of the things that we do.
Fantastic.
Amazing. Well, we really appreciate, speaking of that, you collaborating with us with the other question and coming on, telling us your story. I'm very inspired of how hard you're working and how you're staying on it through all of life. And I'm so excited for you that you got those beautiful twins and your
Yeah.
3-year-old.
They're very
So-
sweet, and thanks to Patrick upstairs for watching them all while I could be there and putting all the children to bed. And
He
thanks
sounds
for having me
Patrick.
on here as well. Shout out to Patrick.
Cool. Well, we'd like to end our show with a roar. So I'm going to count down, and for anybody who's in the chat, if you'd like to roar, we will pop it up on the screen. So, all right, I'm going to go. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Roar!
Whoa, Caitlyn, that was awesome.
That was a good one.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Thank y'all
Carnivore
for having me
Muscle.
so much. I appreciated being here.
Oh my
Absolutely.
goodness.
Let's
It's
show
going
all
really,
those
really
roars.
fast.
Oh, I love
Whoops,
it.
I shouldn't have put that one up there.
It's fine. It's fine.
That's awesome, Bruce. Thank you.
You guys
Thanks,
are
Ellie.
amazing. That's a lot of
I love
roars and like
all-
really,
that's a
really
lot of
fast.
roars. Love it.
Fantastic.
All right, everyone. I would like to thank you for tuning in with us here at Lioness Lifestyle Live. We hope to see you back again next Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific. I think it's funny how we all say our own time zones. But anyways, that's my time zone, or 8 p.m. Eastern. That's Ellie's time zone. Anyways, next Tuesday, and we will have another awesome guest to share with you guys. Night, everybody.
Bye.